Hi, everyone, and welcome to TWF, Rampage or Ram Through. Mike Lane, and Tony Schiavone here. Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone, and Paulie Dangerously here. Even though he hasn't been called Paulie Dangerously since 2001 while though, but whatever. We're going to have, a good show here today on, Rampage or Ram Through. Oh, yes, we are, Tony Schiavone says. We are going to have a good match here today at Rampage Ram Crew. And we are going to see, well, hopefully we are going to have a good match here today. Today on Rampage Ram Crew. Some folks wonder if we're going to see Faith, the Allegheny Share fighter, or see King Valkyrie, the Pennsylvania Reich fighter. Tony Schiavone says, well, your guess is good as mine, Mike and Tony, if we're going to see any of those two wrestlers, fighters, over stars. TWF is not always, known. It's not always known for keeping a good reckoning on everyone who's here, Paulie Dangerously says. But I take that back because now we're going to see Faith now, the Allegheny Share fighter. Alright, everyone. Shit. You know what Faith says? This is like a big deal for me because I have been in the toy wrestling gathering. I've been in the toy wrestling gathering at least 3 times. The first time was 2003 YL, and then guess what? And then I broke. It happened on a highlight reel with me and Chris Jericho having at the time Farouk Hassan and Dustin Hawk Bradshaw when they were doing the APA for the 2th time. Then my next run would have been 2003 between FYL would be 2012 while 2003 between FYL. Well, what happened? I came broke again after I won the TWF Women's Heavyweight Winnings at least 2 times. And then came my free diff run that started in 2021 YL. And if it wasn't for the over sticky ooze holding my leg together, that run would have been short. So, who wants to take me on for being the TWF Allegheny Share fighter? Oh, I'm always open-minded to whoever wants to do it. Well, I guess we'll know who's going to fight. Who's going to end up fighting Faith here today. Oh, well, yeah, Faith, Johnny Nergato says. I did hear about that. About how it happened, about how you had free runs here because each time your doll would come undone. And I want to say, Faith, I don't think some folks would have thought that the over sticky ooze would have kept your leg on, but somehow it has. And a lot of folks always thought that was going to be a handicap for you. So I think it would be so cool if you would fight what some folks call Johnny Wrestling. Yes, Johnny Nergato, I know about you. A wrestler that no one really thought would go on to do big things. How you had your first run in WWE and you were on NXT. And how you and Tommaso Ciampa won the WWE NXT Tag Team Winnings. And then after that, Tommaso Ciampa broke up with you and you spent years fighting him. And then you shifted heel, had some team called away with Candice LeRae, your wife, with Andy Hartwell and Austin Theory, who was also happened to be in that team. And then after winning the WWE NXT North Vinlander winnings about 3 times, you then let go. Then came back to W for your 2-diff run. You were put on Raw. Did alright. Then you were put on SmackDown. You and Tommaso Ciampa came back together, DOY, 2-diff time, and you won the WE Tag Team winnings and ended up losing them. But sounds about right. Now, I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying that seems to be your first run in WWE and your 2-diff run in WWE. Yes, there were a lot of things that happened in my first run in WWE and my 2-diff run in WWE. It happened underneath, it happened underneath sundriest, leaderships. Before we have our match, Faith, why my first run came to an end, because I didn't really quite fit in the Vince McMahon, didn't really fit, in the Vince McMahon, Nick Kong, Johnny Ace, Hunter S. Helmsley, Jason Albert, we're going to say Adam Pearce, Brother Love, what else? Michael Pick, Hayes, leadership at the time. But Vince McMahon had the more might and sway, and boom, I was gone. And then, during what some would call it, the Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Nick Kong, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Steven Regal, Jason Albert, Jesse James, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Brother Love, Adam Pearce leadership, I came back. Yeah, and I was, and then when Vince McMahon wanted me gone, written me off. But it would be fun to know underneath the Ariel Dell, Patrick Whitesell, Mark Shapiro, Vince McMahon, Nick Kong, Steven Regal, Jesse James, Shawn Michaels, Jason Albert, Michael Pitt, Hayes, Adam Pearce, and Brother Love leadership, I did good. Vince McMahon fucked out, and the rest is just yesteryear. So you want to have that match or not? Yeah, I look forward to having that match with you. And that's just why things haven't gone the way they went. Meaning, this match is for the TWF Allegheny share winnings. First, he is Johnny Nargato. And she is the TWF Allegheny share fighter, Faith. Well, first off, Mike Lane says, I know that was a whole saga going on here. And Faith right now just body slams, Johnny Nargato. A lot of folks call him Johnny Wrestling. I guess because there's a football player out there that some folks like to call Johnny Football, Mike Lane says. Well, I wouldn't know about that, Tony Schiavone says, because besides when I did club ball besides doing skilled wrestling, so I can't help you out there. All I can say is that Faith and Johnny Nargato are going to have a truly good match here. Are you kidding me? Paulie Dangerously said Johnny Nargato and Faith are going to have one hell of a match. Johnny Nargato and Faith would have been those kind of wrestlers that if ECW was still around, which it's not, they would have been in it. But then again, Paulie Dangerous says Johnny Nargato, may have, wasn't Johnny Nargato has done very well for himself. He also leaves out how he was a former WWE NXT heavyweight fighter. Yes, he did. And now Johnny Nargato wants to be the TWF Allegheny sheriff fighter, Mike Lane says. And for once, Paulie Dangerously is seen to have onlook for someone. Who says I don't have onlook for folks? Whoa! I got onlook for a lot of folks. I don't like them. Paulie Dangerously says. And now Faith right now, who wants to behave like she's Chris Jericho with a hidden breaker on Johnny Nargato, Mike Lane says. Yeah, Tony Schiavone says Faith might be the nearest thing in the Buffy the Bloodsucker Slayer in the Angel Road you get to Chris Jericho, who is always recrafting himself, Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone said, and we want to see how to get in the walls of Faith or the hidden breaker, what's going to happen from there. Tony Schiavone says. Johnny Gargano needs to come back from this, Mike Lane said. I know that much. Well, how is she? I mean, how is he going to come back from it? Johnny Gargano coming back right now, Mike Lane says. He wants to become the TWF Allegheny Share Fighter, Mike Lane says. Yeah, what a lot of folks, well, Tony Schiavone says the Allegheny Share winnings goes back to at least 2000 and sort of between FYL, you know. And Faith has the first time she's put it on road since she won it, Tony Schiavone says. Well, Mike Lane says Johnny Gargano is going to live up to his name. Johnny Wrestling does the elbow drop. Yeah, so many wrestlers like to do the elbow drop after Randy Savage did it. But it doesn't help them win matches the same way that Randy Savage won matches, Paulie dangerously says. It's like this unspoken oversight. If you're taking other wrestlers' hold or whatever, you're not going to win. You know? But there are times where it does work for you. You know? And Johnny Gargano is going to get, you know, like Kevin Owens with Steve Austin, you know, or The Miz with Ric Flair, you know. There are times where it happens. Johnny Gargano got out of the way. How did Faith get out of the way? A hidden breaker on Johnny Gargano, Mike Lane says. This match is over, Tony Schiavone says. You can put a fork in it. It's done. Oh, that's right, Paulie dangerously says. Faith's going to beat Johnny Gargano, going to beat Johnny Wrestling. This is not going to work out well. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner. And still the TWF Allegheny Share Fighter, Faith. And Faith is still the TWF Allegheny Share Fighter right now, and has beat Johnny Gargano, also known as by his nickname in WWE as Johnny Wrestling. Mike Lane says, well, Johnny Gargano did not win the TWF Allegheny Share Fighters winnings, but he did end up putting on a good match with Faith. Yeah, I can tell you right now, Mike and Tony, Faith and Johnny Gargano did one good wrestling match, or fight, or whatever you want to call it, you know. And I do say that I have seen a lot of good matches, even though I've been in some of the wrestling, just like the CWA, or MACW, WCW, ECW, WWF, WWE. So I think I should see no good matches when I see them, Paulie dangerously says. Well, that's good to know. All right, Mike Lane says. Good to take it away, Bob Walk. All right, everyone. I'm going to talk with Faith and talk with Johnny Gargano. Here today on Rampage or Ramfru. Johnny Gargano, we would say, would be tough luck that you did not win the TWF Allegheny Share winnings. No, it did not happen, Bob Walk. I guess it was tough luck. You know? You win some, you lose some. But no one's going to take away that I won the WWE NXT Heavyweight winnings once, or won the WWE NXT North Vinlander winnings about 3 times, or the WWE NXT Tag Team winnings, or W Tag Team winnings, though. And I believe that I was a TWF, I don't know, Pittsburgh Stead Near fighter when it was a thing. Yeah, that was true. We all thought you had Faith beat, you know. There were times in the match where we truly believed that you were going to win the Allegheny Share winnings, but that didn't happen. No, I guess it did not, but I'm not going to give up. Because if I would have given up, I would have never won any of those winnings I won in WWE, you know. And you're right about that. Do you think you and Faith are going to have another match? Well, if Faith is open-minded to have another match with me, then yeah, I believe so. Alright, that's my talk with Johnny Gargano, or Johnny Wrestling. Back to you, Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone. Well, thank you, Bob Walk, for talking with Johnny Nergato, here today on Rampage or Ram Through. And that's all the time we've got it for Rampage or Ram Through. I, Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone, and Paulie Dangerously. We hope you like Rampage or Ram Through, and we'll see you tomorrow for Collision or Hit.